Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wellspring on this beautiful fall Sunday morning. My name is Martha Ward, and I'm part of your Sunday service team on this beautiful October 17th day. Now we have a few announcements. Early Birds meets Sunday morning at 9:30 via Zoom. The link is in the weekly email and on the website. We will next study Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, and it's in the bookstore, awaiting cataloging. We just finished up the Untethered Soul this morning, and it was a wonderful book, so I recommend that strongly to everybody. The Board of Trustees met last Wednesday, and it was decided that the whole third quarter tithe of $1,000 goes to the local school districts supporting Project Link for the 2020 to 21 school year. I guess it must be the 21 to 22. 566 students in Las Cruces Public Schools were considered homeless, which is defined as individuals who lack a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. Project Link Homeless Education Program works to improve the educational outcomes for homeless students by providing an educational support through tutoring, basic needs such as school supplies, hygiene items, snacks, and clothing. Project Link also assists families in collaborating with community social service organizations and with school personnel to identify and serve students in need. All right, we have our upcoming speakers listed. We're going to have a video on how to use quantum physics to make your dreams your reality. And then on the 31st, Peggy Shin will be here, and that's always a lively, dynamic talk. And lastly, our prayer team remains ready to serve and support you. You may submit a request via our webpage, or you may contact myself, Martha Ward, or Geneva Collins with your request. Our prayer team meets virtually on Tuesday afternoons to pray with you, and you may join us by sitting in your quiet space during that time. We know we are one in spirit, and the energy of prayer knows no limits. So now we have our invocation. And let us, if you can, if you're comfortable, close your eyes for a moment and just visualize each one of ourselves as little dots in space, yet intricately connected with spirit, with that one source, that one great creative force that is not outside of us, but is within us. And we are representative sparks from that one great source. And so, as such, we are one with Source, and we are one with one another, just as we are one with all of the individuals of our spiritual community and those in Las Cruces and extending out into the entire world. So in truth, we are our brother's keepers because we are one with each other. And in that spirit of oneness, we say, and so it is. Please stand if you are able, and we will sing our song of joy.
Okay, now this is Edwin's song, and he has been called away. We hold him and his sister, is it, in the light? And so I tried to learn this really fast. Now I knew the basic tune, but there's a thing called the bridge, and the bridge is after we sing the verse twice, then it's the bridge. So who knows what's going to come out of my mouth on the bridge? So. Oh, okay, that's good. Okay. Beauty will come out. Okay, thanks a lot. Hit it, kids. Grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worries on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Your pet, and that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny side of the street. I used to walk in the shade with those blues on parade, but I'm not afraid, 'cause this rover crossed over. If I never had a cent, I'd be rich as Rockefeller. Gold dust at my feet on the sunny side of the street. Used to walk in the shade with those blues on parade, but I'm not afraid, 'cause this rover crossed over. If I never have a cent, I'd be rich as Rockefeller. Gold dust at my feet on the sunny side of the street.
Thank you, and please be seated. And let's read together our vision, mission, and affirmation. Our vision: to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission: to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. And our affirmations: knowledge from on high is me, and I am always led by Spirit. My wisdom from within comes forth into daily expression. I accept the good and allow it to flow through me into the universe. The one mind is my complete refuge and strength. And those are words from Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind text. So now we have a wonderful new guest musician this morning. Chris Sanders is here, and she is going to do our special music.
Good morning, Martha. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Chris.
The pre-message song is one that arrived to me during the COVID times on retreat, and just anticipating that the change is coming. You know what? We've had a change in climate here, which means that I have to retune. So something, we'll just take care of that right now. Yeah. And what else can I say? Am I coming through loud and clear with the vocals there in our Zoom? I hope so.
Homeland, you sound great.
Oh, good. Thank you, Vicki. Thank you so much. There have been times in the past that I've visited Wellspring and Nancy and I have sung duets in the past. So it's with just a moment of gratitude to Nancy and Sam for their presence here in the past, and they certainly always underscored the power of music. Maybe tomorrow the day comes we won't be the same. Love comes, streams from a fountain to the desert again. When the day comes, I know for certain the day comes we will see again. Our way through this barren desert to a new and promised land. So sweet as honey to our great delight, the taste of freedom after such a long, long fight. And change is come, change is coming on. And when change comes, love's labor, pain comes, as it surely will. Be assured, sisters and brothers, our futures are alive and well. And when pain comes, don't you worry, pain goes, only lasts so long. Hold on, sweet surrender is the sound of love's own song. So sweet as honey to our great delight, the taste of freedom after such a long, long fight. And change is come, change is coming on, change is coming on. Streams in the desert of love, change is coming on, coming on. Well, thank you. Bless you all. Thank you.
The reading this morning is taken from the Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, and this is from chapter 7, Transcending the Tendency to Close. The foundations of spiritual growth and personal awakening are very much strengthened by the findings of Western science, and we're going to hear more about that when our video is on. Science has shown us how an underlying energy field forms into atoms, which then bind together into molecules and ultimately manifest into the entire physical universe. The same is true inside of us. All that goes on inside also has its foundation in the underlying energy field. It is the movements in this field that create our mental and emotional patterns, as well as our inner drives, urges, and instinctual reactions. Regardless of what you call this inner field, force field, chi, shakti, or spirit, it is an underlying energy that flows in particular patterns through your entire being. When looking at these patterns within yourself, as well as in other living species, it's not difficult to see that the most primal energy flow is the survival instinct. During the eons of evolution, from the simplest living forms to the most complex, there has always been the day-to-day struggle to protect oneself. In our highly evolved cooperative social structure, This survival instinct has gone through evolutionary changes. Many of us no longer lack food, water, clothing, or shelter, nor do we regularly face life-threatening physical danger. As a result, the protective energies have adapted toward defending the individual psychologically rather than physiologically. We now experience the daily need to defend ourselves, self-concept, rather than our bodies. Our major struggles end up being with our own inner forces, insecurity, and destructive behavior patterns, and not with outside forces. Let's see. Since it's not socially acceptable to run into the woods and hide like a deer, you hide inside. You withdraw, close down, and pull back behind your protective shield. You're protecting your ego, your own self-concept. The problem is that the part of you that gets disturbed is way out of balance. If you really want to grow, you have to do the opposite. Excuse me. Real spiritual growth happens when there is only one of you inside. There's not a part that's scared and another part that's protecting that part. Excuse me. There's not another part that is protecting that part that is scared. All parts are unified. And because there is no part of you that you're not willing to see, the mind no longer is divided into conscious and subconscious. In order to reach this state of awareness, you must let your entire psyche surface. And you will eventually get conscious enough so that the minute you see the energy starting to get strange, you stop. You stop getting involved in the energy. And all right. And so what exactly does this mean to stop? It's something that you do inside. It's called letting go. And so it is.
Well, apparently my over-the-ear microphone has had a little failure, so I'll just use this one. All right, good morning. Good morning. Some of you I haven't seen in person in a long time. Welcome, Jim and Dean. It's nice to see you here. And welcome to all of you out in Zoom land. And Chris, it's so nice to see you here today, and I love that song. Appreciate that. Today's topic, I called it Life as an Edgewalker. And what the heck does that mean, right? Well, I'll tell you, a few months ago I was talking with Reverend Kamatara, and she made some remark about an edgewalker, and I thought, well, that's an interesting concept, but yet to me, it was very clear what it meant. But in order to see how my intuition fit in with the real world or the other world, I went to the internet and I looked it up to see. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what I found on the internet, and I'm also going to talk about my emphasis and what it means, I think, at least to me. And there's actually a woman who is very well known, apparently, that teaches an Edgewalker class, and you can find her on the internet. And it typically, well, let me just move on here. It says, Edgewalkers are people who walk between worlds and have the ability to build bridges between different worlds. They have a strong inner life and are very grounded and effective in the everyday external world. This orientation looks to the future and is focused on openness to possibilities. And much of the emphasis in her work is to bridge or bring spirituality into the workplace. So you'll see a lot of that. in what I'm reading here, kind of off of the internet. But there are 5 characteristics. The number 1 is self-awareness. Awareness of your thoughts, values, and behavior, and a commitment to spend time in self-reflection with the goal of becoming a better person. All right. Passion, an intense focus on your purpose or the use of your gifts in a way that adds value to your life and the world. And I guess I don't need this over my ears if I'm not using it. All right, the third one is integrity, a commitment to live in alignment with your core values, to align your words and your behavior, and to keep your word. And vision, the gift of being able to see what others cannot, possibilities, trends, the future, guidance from the spiritual world. And lastly, in her list of 5, is playfulness, a joyful sense of fun and creativity, and an ability to keep everything in perspective. So maybe you were wondering if this might define you, or you might be an Edgewalker. So I took a list of about 25 characteristics, and I winnowed it down to a few here that I thought would be appropriate for this audience. Number 1 is I have a spiritual life. Check, right? Yeah. I frequently feel different from most people. Yeah. I seem to have an ability to sense coming trends. I have an unusual combination of interests. I have had mystical or spiritual experiences that have provided everyday guidance. And I see a lot of checks out there. Yeah. I often find myself being a bridge or translator for people from very different backgrounds. Maybe. This is a good one. I have this feeling that I was called to do something very special and important in the world. I find myself attracted to and wanting to learn from people who are very different from me. I have the ability to listen beyond the words that are spoken. I consciously tune into something higher than myself for guidance and inspiration. Check marks, yeah? I have artistic abilities or unusual gifts that I combine with down-to-earth practical skills. I have a strong sense of adventure. I find myself exploring new ideas. I have a suspicion that that last one easily pertains to everybody here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here as recovering other denominations. So I'm going to step back to kind of my original thinking about the Edgewalker before present time. And I'm going to say, imagine the early seafaring explorers that were setting out on a new adventure. And maybe it's Columbus wanting to find a sea route to the Orient. But even before that, there were folks that were sailing in their ships beyond the charted waters. And what they had to go by were maps showing the ocean spilling over the edge of the world, if you recall, maybe seeing some of those. Or there were other maps with a designation, beyond here be dragons, indicating that potential dangers were thought to exist beyond some certain point. But anyway, to start with, we probably had enough folks, and they were probably mostly men, grouped together, had signed on for this adventure to get on a ship. You needed some crew and so forth. And we don't know exactly why each and every one of them signed on. Some of them wanted new adventures. Some of them were probably trying to escape prison, for all I know. And of course, the pay might have been good. And I think you got all the free grog you needed or wanted. At any rate, they started with a common intention or goal. And maybe it was as simple to sail 10 days west of some point in Europe and see what happened. And even before that, they were probably daring to sail beyond or away from the sight of land. You know, when you thought about it, or I think about it, they pretty much stuck to the seacoast for the longest time. And just to kind of put it in perspective, in case you didn't remember this from your early days, it took Columbus 36 days to reach the Americas. So let's go back to this group of men on the ship. And a few days go by, they've been sailing, and some of the men start to have second thoughts about the trip. It's like, maybe, you know, they're a little fearful. Those maps kind of put a little fear in them. Well, that's going to happen in a day or two. Aren't we getting a little far away? Any of those things. Maybe there were some unfavorable winds or bad weather, so the grumbling starts. You can imagine the complaints about the food, or how the captain doesn't know what he's doing, and this and that, and so snores at night and I can't sleep, or whatever. The list could go on. But the point being is that what started out as an exciting adventure is now kind of losing its luster. If they weren't all in the same boat, some of them probably would have turned around and gone back, or maybe mutinied. And I think similar situations to this were found in the early pioneers taking wagon trains west, from known civilization to the unknown. You know, they traveled about 20 miles a day. The Oregon Trail took 5 months. And to put it in more local perspective, it would have taken them 2 days to get from White Sands to San Augustine Pass. I mean, we don't think about distances now. But at any rate, there was plenty of time just walking and riding in the dust for them to have second thoughts and begin to argue with the trail boss and so on and so forth. So if I think about the olden times and the adventurer then, as the Edgewalker, we'll call them, they were interested in adventure. They were willing to face the unknown or the fear, and they were willing to go where no one had gone before. They certainly had to have some level of confidence. Sometimes the early adventurer was a loner, but many times they were a part of a close-knit band with this common goal. And they were able to deal with unexpected challenges as they came up. And I think they probably had a sense of preparedness for whatever might come up, but not necessarily a sense of worry, if you understand the difference. And so nowadays there isn't much on the physical planet that we have left to explore. So let's think about this from our spiritual path. So number one, I think everyone on the spiritual path has to have a willingness to face fear. As a matter of fact, it might be said that we should learn to go toward the fear. And also, we need this sense of preparedness. That would be, we have our spiritual practice or a spiritual toolbox that we keep with us. Now let's kind of look back at an analogous situation to either the trail or the ships. And you know, we start out many times with the best of intentions, do we not? We're going to lose weight, we're going to exercise more, we're going to quit smoking or any of those things. And then few days, few months goes by and our enthusiasm fades. And what about our spiritual goals? You know, change your thinking, change your life. Well, that sounds real good in theory. But as we practice it, sometimes things get a little icky. Maybe the changes aren't happening as fast as we were expecting them to, or whatever. And then we have to deal with the people in our head, or thoughts, right? This is a little uncomfortable. maybe we should go back to comfort. Perhaps this doesn't really work. It's just some theory in a book. Maybe this isn't that good of an idea. There could be dragons over the horizon. So in the situation that I spoke of earlier, I think it's the duty of the ship's captain to keep everyone encouraged. Come on, fellows, it's not that bad. The weather's going to change. We'll be just fine. And we must do the same for ourselves. We have to keep the intention alive. We have to keep ourselves motivated. This is also where support of our spiritual community comes into play. Our study groups, early birds, and what have you. So I want to bring this back a little more specifically to the title of the talk, Life as an Edgewalker. And I do want to acknowledge that I think many of us, if not all in our community, could be considered edgewalkers. I went through a list. Many of you were shaking your heads. Why do I say this, of course? And maybe I'm going to, as I give some examples of how I think an edgewalker approaches life, you will recognize yourself. So I want to contrast how an edgewalker might deal with situations as compared with, I'll call it a normal person. So here's an example. He or she or they hurt my feelings. Why are they so mean? I'm not going to talk to them again, or I'm going to avoid them forever. So, from a different perspective, they didn't hurt your feelings. You have a choice on how you react to things. Sure, they did something, but you chose to be hurt by it. Besides that, they may not even have been aware of the slight. I think infinite possibilities might explain what was really going on for them. So the edgewalker realizes that there's a moment between when the energy hits you and you respond. This is sometimes called the holy instant. And what do you choose to do during that instant? So you choose, the edgewalker would choose to experience it, acknowledge it, relax and release it, and get on with important things in your life. I know many of us are no longer in the workplace. Some of us have jobs and some don't. But this might fit in other situations aside from just the job. But I don't know why the boss keeps picking on me. That ever happened in your career, in your life? Yeah, I had a situation where that happened. And it wasn't so much, I mean, if I'd put it in those words, it would have, kind of hit me. But I was pondering a situation I was in. I thought, why do I keep getting all the tough jobs? And I see these other people getting the easy jobs or simple jobs. And so I made some remark about that, and a very wise person said, well, that's because you can handle it. It's like, whoa. So I now apply that to other situations. That's because I can handle it. Oh, this one. That guy or gal just cut me off in traffic. They should watch where they're going. I just bet they have an accident. The way they're driving, I hope a cop stops them. All right, this is, I don't know that it's necessarily overused, but it's well used. First of all, it's not even personal. Can you get that? Are you going to be upset by it for the entire day? Just let it go. Some of you have heard the story about the two monks that were walking along a road, and they came to the stream, and they were going to have to cross it, and obviously they were going to get everything from at least the knees down wet. And there was this beautiful woman at the side of the stream, very well dressed, looking at the stream and wondering how she was going to make it across the stream. And the elder monk picked her up and carried her across the stream and put her down, and her gowns were not wet or anything. And the two continue on their walk, and maybe an hour later or whatever, the older monk looks at the younger monk and he says, "Something is bothering you, I can just tell." And the younger monk said, "Well, master," or yes, "we're not supposed to know women. We're not supposed to touch women. And you did that." And the elder monk said, "Yes, that's true, but I put her down on the other side of the stream, and you've been carrying her all this time." So, yes, don't be carrying that stuff around with you. Maybe they cut you off. Doesn't matter. Maybe their wife was about to have a baby, and they were trying to get to the hospital. Clearly, they were oblivious to you. Well, I say that, yeah. Oh, how about, they have some really strange political views. I don't know where they're getting that stuff. They should think like me. I'm right. Well, I just want to go back and read something from our community commitment that we say at every board meeting. And this was something that Reverend Sam borrowed from Michael Rice's commitment. And so certainly with respect to differences of opinion and so forth, it says, "Our connection to our source, our relationships, and our serenity will always be more important than any issue." And add to that, "I support you in whatever path you are on. Whatever you choose to do, I support you." Oh, here's a good one, and my apologies to somebody in the audience. I have this lousy cold. Where I lost my place. My nose is running. My sinuses are full. I'm coughing. Or, like me, a few weeks ago, I had a lower GI problem that lasted almost a week. What bozo gave me the germs? How about, yes, I'm experiencing this, but what is going inside of me that may have created this situation? What is it I'm releasing? Now, I will tell you that it took me a few days before I even got to the point to remember that our physical manifestations are manifestations of what's going on inside. And I'm still not sure I figured it all out. But the answer is there's probably no one to blame, I think. So no matter what it is and what's going inside of ourselves, what thoughts or energy is this the result of? And number one, it's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, we say, "Oh, yeah, there must be some error in your thinking because you're sick." You don't know that. And don't you who is sick believe that that's what it is, in the sense that there's anything wrong with you. You may have a disease. You may have thinking that is wrong, but you are not wrong. You as a human, you as a child of God are not wrong. But just remind ourselves that if this experience is coming into our life, we're working on it. That is we should be grateful for that. Financial difficulties. I just can't seem to get a break. I'll never have enough to, and you fill in the blank. Oh, some people have all the luck. All right. Now, we teach that we live in an abundant universe and that Source provides everything we need. So let's check our consciousness. Maybe we grew up in a family that continually harped on not having enough. I mean, some of us may have had parents who grew up during the Depression. And boy, you know, you didn't have enough. Even though we were fed, we were clothed, you know, we got to school and all those kinds of things, but somehow you didn't have enough. Or, you know, sometimes dad might lose his job next week and we'd be out on the street, we'd be homeless, all those kinds of things. Is some of that going on in your mind? It's worth it checking out. And then, of course, why does all this stuff keep happening to me? God must really hate me. I'm a victim. So you remember last week Bram Watkins was here and he spoke about moving, I think he said moving from gunk or some other word to gratitude and finally to joy. And how do you do that? You know, first of all, God doesn't hate you. You are loved and cherished by God. And for me, I always drop back to there are no such things as victims. Somehow I enabled or allowed it, participated in it in some way or another. And then where is the gift or the lesson in this? And then the gratitude, of course. How wonderful is it that this stuff is coming up now to clear out of my consciousness? So I want to borrow a little bit from Michael Singer, and he talks about, and we all know this analogy of our consciousness or our life being a stream, and in the stream are some ripples and whirlpools and things like that because there are rocks in there, right? So are we going to be mad at the rocks for being there? Are we going to be angry that they're disrupting this nice smooth stream? Or maybe we can be mad at who put them there. But anyway, that part doesn't make the stream flow any smoother. So what do we have to do to remove the rocks? Well, we've got to reach in the water, we got to pick them up, and we got to set them on the bank. So take this analogy to our consciousness and our life. Life, we would like it to be flowing smoothly, but we have these whirlpools and ripples and rapids perhaps. And these rocks that are causing this disturbance, can I use the word? The disturbance in the force. That are causing the disturbance are really our stuff. How do we get rid of that? First of all, we got to realize they're there, right? And we got to approach them as in reaching for them. We got to look at them. And then we got to set them aside by relaxing and releasing. We can put them back in the stream if we want. Or maybe we can find a deeper place. If we put it there, you know, it won't disturb the stream, right? So we can save them for later if we want to. Or not. So let's be brave and intentional enough to face them. And this is what life is all about. Everything that comes into our life is similar to a rock in the stream. You have to experience it. You can't stuff it down. Then you relax and you release and let it go before continuing to experience life. You know, next experience coming up. Holmes says our goal here is to gain soul experience. And how do you do that? By having experiences. Right? Isn't that great? You got everything you need. So as I started my talk, I said life as an edgewalker. And let's turn it around. And I'm going to say live as an edgewalker. Look forward to every experience. Experience every experience once and only once. Relax and release. Relax and release. And so it is. So now we will have our prayer, and then we'll have some more music. Beautiful music. So let's just take a moment and be here now. We are at this cusp, this point in our life, this point in our daily life, this point in physically, we're here now. We brought our consciousness with us. We brought our heart with us. We brought all of our beliefs with us. But we know that behind and beyond all of this is that one source that is the source of everything. So we just allow that to flow into us, and as it has already filled the sanctuary, and each of you have added your love and your joy and your consciousness to this, because we know that this one great source flows through and activates in each and every one of us. And today we have certain members in our community that are maybe suffering some distress or disease or concern or worries. We just know that this prayer goes out to them because this loving God is holding each and every one of us in its bosom, supporting us and loving us and wanting nothing but the best for each and every one of us. And so we know that's true for us. We know that's true for every member in our community, in the greater Las Cruces community, and in the world. God is here. God is on the job. God is supporting our continual unfolding. So we give thanks for this. We give thanks for knowing this. We give thanks for even having this philosophy that allows us to feel this way, to understand these things. We give thanks that it's happening. It has already happened, even as we thought it happens. So we just place this prayer into the mind of God. We just let it go, because God is on the job. God is taking care of this. And we say, and so it is. Now we have another prayer in the form of a song. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you, Edward. You know, there's just so much to respond to, really. And I changed songs at the last minute, just not just this last minute, but last night. Let's see if we're in tune. Sure, we'll take that. Just as I was responding and listening to the intentions of this community and to what you had to say, and the awareness, just starting with an awareness and self-awareness. What if we start with an awareness from the very beginning that we are part of God, that we are part of, and that God is the ultimate beauty. God, that the source is beauty. We come from beauty. We go to beauty. And sometimes people can't see that. You know, they get lost in what is not beautiful in the world. And this song started sitting in my backyard, and just thinking about if everyone had a chance to sit in the midst of something so beautiful, wouldn't that could change them? And at that point, something horrible had happened with someone in my family that couldn't see the beauty in his life, and he ended it. And I think about also the fact that a few, like 7 or 8 winters ago, we had a terrible freeze. And our pomegranate tree looked like it was dead. And so we took the risk of letting go. That was another thing that was mentioned in intentions that Martha said about what does it look like? It looks like letting go. So we let go, and we chopped it down till it was only about 6 inches left of a beautiful, big, blessed pomegranate tree. And you know what? Over the years, that pomegranate tree has been restored to twice the size it was before, and we don't know what to do with the pomegranates anymore. There's so many pomegranates. If you need any pomegranates, oh, good. We'll set this up after church. We're gonna, I will do pomegranate deliveries, gladly. So that's where this song comes. I'm gonna change my pick. There, I like that better. It's a brilliant Friday morning. We'll take the mower in, get a copy of the key for Anne. The center of the universe, I think therefore I am. Cottonwoods are sparkling and quail call surprise. Purple is the color of the day. All I have to say is, think of it this way. Here in the garden, you might have seen it too. Here in the garden, something might have stopped you. And you are part of everything, and everything is beautiful. Everything inside of you is part of something beautiful. You are part of everything, and everything is beautiful. Everything inside of you is part of something beautiful. 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 So beautiful. See that pomegranate tree with all those orange blooms. Last year there were only 2 or 3. We thought the winter killed it, but it's alive as it can be. And sometime in September, so big and round and red, we'll tear into that fruit and taste the prize. Worth the wait, worth the try, worth the thorns that made me cry. Here in the garden, we get messy all the time. Here in the garden, down to earth and yet sublime. And you are part of everything, and everything is beautiful. Everything inside of you is part of something beautiful. You are part of everything, and everything is beautiful. Everything inside of you is part of something beautiful. Beautiful. So beautiful. Ooh, beautiful. Ooh. Oh, thank you. And bless you all. You're beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That was beautiful.
Oh, thanks, Martha.
And that reminded me, when I got out of my van this morning, there were all these little tiny butterflies on the lantana out there, and they just all flew away when I got out, walked near them. But it was just a beautiful sight to see all those little critters out there. So, I am so grateful to be here today, this wonderful place with these wonderful people. And so as we acknowledge and receive our virtual and in-person gifts, we give great thanks for the offerings already given and those we will be receiving, because we know that giving and receiving are both parts of the one flow. We affirm that we are also part of that flow. We bless these gifts, and we know they are multiplied throughout our community. So, there are a number of folks who have contributed to the production of this service, and we don't mention names because we don't want to leave anybody off the list, and it's so extensive. Thank you for joining us today. And lastly, stay around in the Zoom meeting after service to visit or join us in the social hall. Please stand with me now and read the benediction, followed by our congregational song. Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world, and so it is.